So, it went ahead, and look at that beautiful red crowd across London Bridge. By some accounts, 3 million people, but the BBC claims at least 100,000, which means that it could have been 10 billion, or at least not less than 100,000. Let's see what else we have on this. So, we actually have lots of stuff today. So let's begin with Scrump's opinion, because I just happen to have this open. So the news article here is thousands taking part in Unite the Kingdom rally and counter-protest. Far-right activist says, I think that's the BBC. Activist Tommy Robinson has organised a rally in London with a counter-protest by Stand Up to Racism also taking place. Now, as far as anyone I've ever heard has stated, the counter-protest was comprised of about 5,000 people. So it was utterly dwarfed. There was no comparison. If I can say some of the overflights are sublime. Well, I tell you what, chat, if you have any footage, please post it now, because I have some, but I have lots of stuff today, so it might be hard to find. So yeah, the classic reporting as you'd expect, not mentioning the fact that, the quote-unquote far-right protest was 20 times larger at minimum, but probably more than that. Scum's response is... He's hardly the main opponent of what I'm looking for in the world. But being that he is near to an ally, I do feel the responsibility to push back on some of what he says. He says both the Tommy protesters and the Gaza protesters are taking part in purely symbolic acts. They believe they will create political change via these symbolic acts because they have been conditioned to accept a form of political cargo cult magic, he says. The same magic as mass democracy. Scott, why did you post this? No, seriously, why, practically speaking, did you post this? What's that? What's that you say? To communicate an idea with the public, possibly to get people on your side? Oh, if it wasn't that, well, then you're not playing the game. You're not playing the game that works, that allows you to win. You're not actually winning people over. You're not persuading people. But if you are trying to persuade people, you are trying to get people to see what you see, or even if you're just trying to make money from it, that's it. This is communication. Do you think, like, Scrump is definitely 100% smart enough to recognize multi-step processes, multi-step consequences of actions? If you think it's a mere matter of people believe the symbol will do something on its own, why do you think that? Why do you give the people you're arguing against, who agree with you on almost everything, so little credit, Scrum, so little leeway, so little intellectual respect? They're doing it because it communicates the idea and that gets people on side, which has resulted in a crowd size increase astronomically in all these years, and that results in more pressure on politics. They know how many people support it, and the more people in the country know this, the more of them support it, and the more they actually enact their will politically. Now, if you think democracy doesn't do anything, well, obviously that's not true. Through democracy, bad people have done a lot of bad things, and the same power is available to us if we take it. They could have done it through any other system, of course, and the monarchy is hardly representative of the kind of monarchy that some people want these days. But the power is available, and we already have the people on side to take it. Now, if we had been in this position 10 years ago, trying to take power, we would have had far, far less latitude to do it. And indeed, we went through years and years of trying different strategies that seemed right. Even then, there were a lot of people on this side of the fence. Now there's much more. Now that Keir Starmer is so unpopular, now that the awareness has been raised on all these issues, there are so many more people on the side. It imposes a implicit or passive pressure on politicians, which is extremely strong but hard to perceive. If any force is going to result in the Labour Party fracturing and setting a new general election before 2029, allowing us to at least try something else before they sink the country, it's this kind of pressure. When the Labour Party, when the ruling party looks weak, that's when they can be fractured. That's when they can be undone. That's when they can be replaced. So at least we can pull out the tailspin. Think what you want about the current leading party. It probably won't make things as much worse as Labour is. So it's at least preferable to pull us out the tailspin. Now, to speak to the other part of what he's probably saying here, as I've heard secondhand, something that I believe AA has said, but either way, something that some people say, is the idea that all movements that make a change are elite movements. In a sense, yes, but you're missing a big chunk of the picture there. And when has an unorganized mass ever taken power? Well, it has happened, actually, but they often then become elites. And I mean, we did just see that happen in Nepal, albeit the IQ is quite a lot lower, but it does happen. But there is a point to the idea that it's usually elite movements, yes, but who are those elites? Political outsiders. They're not political insiders usually, or if they are, it's probably a feigned movement. Probably not a successful one, or a minor adjustment. Political outsiders who are themselves elites. Now, this sounds awfully familiar to something I've been talking about for many years, ever since I read the book from Orwell, the three political classes. You've got the political lower class, the political middle class, and the political upper class. It's not quite the same as the economic versions of the same, but they align pretty well. The political upper class make the rules. The political middle class oppose that rule. The political lower class are the key, because whoever they support can take power. Now, they can take power without it, theoretically, especially militarily, but that's rarer and more difficult. There's more boundaries to that. If you have the people on side, you can take power. It takes time, but you can, even peacefully. So the process is that the upper class gets power, become gradually more and more corrupt. Middle class become gradually more and more legitimate in opposing them. Then, because of the assistance of the lower class, who are the largest, they assist the middle class in replacing the upper class. In these cases, you can argue both the middle class and the upper class politically are elites. So yes, elites are going to be involved. And even if they aren't involved initially, after power is taken, they become elites. So that is to say that what I believe is sometimes called elite theory is true, but also useless and kind of misleading to the point that it basically isn't true. However, great man theory absolutely is. Almost all successful things, ventures of human interest are led by a powerful masculine figure. And there are exceptions, but they are not many, and those which attempt it without one rarely succeed. That is true. But that was never in dispute. Something like this, it may not be the force which directly unseats power. But notice I used the word may not be. It can be. This is one of the last polite requests, but it's going to get less polite from now on. That's not a threat, merely a prediction. Movements like these, they do not directly, or indeed may not, directly unseat power or change power. They are the necessary, foundational step, preambling it. Not strictly necessary, but usually necessary. Step preambling the taking of power. The taking of power could be as simple as these people outside will remove you, or you can step down yourself and we'll replace you. That is a peaceful transfer of power built on the threat of violence, which is the best way to avoid violence. And that is what theoretically could have happened today. If they had this many people outside the Commons and they said, this crowd insists the Commons empties. Now, there's all kinds of issues that would emerge there. I'm sure that there's militarization up the wazoo in London, but you're not going to stop that many people. That, as a show of force, as a show of intent, this kind of thing, it doesn't have to terrify politicians. And if it was 10 times less, or if it was more moderate, it wouldn't. But this many people, it does terrify politicians. Now, it takes a long time for these things to take effect, and maybe you're getting sick of waiting. But if you're impatient, politics is not your thing. Find a different thing. Like League of Legends. If you're patient, you're willing for things to take the time they need to complete, then politics may be for you. But don't let your impatience lead you into esoteric philosophy which negates basic human reality. A show of intent like this is a symbol, yes. And symbols lead to action. It's how humans work. It's how humans have always worked. The only exception is mass violence, which maybe some people want, but I don't think most of us do, and I don't think Scrump does either. And I will say, Farage is an outsider. Even if some people think he will act as an insider, open to that criticism, but currently he's an outsider, and he is the best shot we've got to begin clawing something back, who has a chance of winning. That may change before the election, we'll see. So, I said earlier, like, Scrump is very, very intelligent, but I believe he misapplies his intelligence in many ways. In esoteric philosophy which attempts to undermine basic facts of humanity, which are evident, just not obvious, but easy to see if you look at the patterns. So, there's that. Let me find some other thing on this topic to go into. So, this is unconfirmed, merely a Twitter account saying this, but they say official police reports indicate that in excess of 3 million patriots are on the street of London. How do you know they're all patriots? Well, they probably are. Let's have a look at this, actually. London police reports 3 million United the Kingdom. So specifically 3 million. So BBC said more than 100k. Everyone's saying more than 100k, or all the mainstream press, but I don't see any indication of 3 million. Not from Google anyway, but then what do you expect? Let's have a look on X, which is actually a more reliable search engine for news stories. So, okay, this is the same account. He's saying, don't listen to the mainstream media when they say thousands of far-right thugs were protesting in London. The truth, up to 3 million decent, hard-working, fed-up British citizens were out on the streets to unite the kingdom. History has been made today. Up to. So he's being reasonable about that, the possibility it's not exactly. It's truly a huge number of people. I mean, the picture I showed you just now, this barely does it justice. And that's more than 100,000. Chat, press 1 if that's more than 100,000, just by your own informal estimate, just on that picture. Okay, toast. All right. So police have announced there was around 3 million people that Unite the Kingdom march, says this guy. And again, I'd like a source for that. The left could only dream of those numbers. They are battled and outnumbered. The British people are awake, he says. And this, like, I did say it has been increasing. It definitely has. But we've had the kind of support that would put us as the plurality position broadly in British politics for many years, possibly 10, 20 years. I believe it's now beyond doubt that electorally, clear plurality. And in terms of representation among the people for the broad groups for issues in the country, we are the majority. We have been for years as well, because I looked into it years ago. There's studies that show that I believe it was just over 50% of the country support broadly Brexit-style ideas, while the rest of it, it's not all united front of Remain-style ideas. It's a split between moderate Tories and about half of the remainder, and socialists about half the remainder. So Britain currently is just over 50% patriots and about 25% moderates and 25% socialists, which is probably about normal for any Western country. Now, that 25% socialist is way too high, but I believe it will come down once we become a bit more healthy as a nation. But I think it was Quattro earlier, if it wasn't him, I'm sure others have said this too, who said that we are not an oppressed minority. We are an oppressed majority. Dork, is that you with the mic open?
Quite possibly. Am I unmuted for some bizarre reason?
Because you're a patron, and patrons get to heckle during the stream.
Well, they just want to bring me on as a host so my friendly little icon can pop up.
I may do in a minute.
This isn't about Israel. This isn't about Palestine. This is about the United Kingdom.
despite the fact that the man speaking definitely sounds like he is not, shall we say, of a genetic line that has a long time been here. There's a lot to be said about that topic, and we actually had a pretty vibrant debate before the stream, which touched on the topic of genetic. Doc, could you mute yourself if you're not talking? That touched on the topic of genetics before we started. But suffice to say that people who don't share our genetics can still share a genuine intent in favor of the country, even if there are definitely issues on the large scale. Individuals certainly can. So I'm not going to comment too much on that here.
Come on! Come on!
It's a pretty good mix of England flags and Great British flags as well. And there was a little disagreement on this when we talked about it before. I think the England flag makes more sense generally for this protest, but we're defending both. We're not defending England to the exclusion of Scotland, Wales, or Ireland, though they're a little different. It's still the same problem. It's still the same cause, essentially. The Union Jack is more commonly used by, shall we say, compromised groups, the government, for example, than the England flag. But the England flag is more often used by footballers, so they're both kind of misleading there. The latter is clearer, the England flag, but both are fine, I think. See what else there is. I'm not finding any confirmation of the 3 million figure. If anyone has it, please do tell me. Police reports suggest that 3 million people have taken to the streets of London for Tommy Robinson's United Kingdom March. Keir Starmer can't call everyone far right, it says. Now, if they really believe, that's probably why they said 100,000. I mean, the whole idea of saying 100,000 is to make it look like it's less people than it is. And most people in the country, probably unfortunately, will have heard the 100,000 figure. That's still a lot. It's still way more than the left were able to muster, but it's not as much as it actually is. And the press probably would, if asked, say, how many people in the country are far right? They probably would be willing to say something in the tens or hundreds, low hundreds of thousands. But little do they know that what they consider far right is it's 3 million people, maybe, willing to go to London. Not even just in total, just willing to go to London on one day and march with everyone else with a flag. Like that's already quite a lot of requirements. So the actual number is in the tens of millions, most likely, or at least a lot more than 3. So this is working on the assumption that you'd have approximately 2.5 people per meter in either direction, so 6.25 people per meter squared. That image of the bridge would be in the neighborhood of 63.1 thousand people. Fair enough.
You're neglecting to account for the fact that if these are indeed true Englishmen, they have the superior queuing ability, so that 2.5 per meter is inferior. It's probably closer to 3.25, honestly, if they've all queued up properly.
Maybe. Okay, Solma. Fair enough, if that's what the maths says. This is why I'm looking for a number here, because I doubt it's as low as 100,000. But it would be interesting if it is as high as 3 million. Police estimate 3 million in London for Unite the Kingdom March. I would love to know what that's based on, because it might be, this always happens when you're looking for specifics. People will represent the simplest version of something. It might be that the police are saying that their strategies can handle 3 million rather than that there are 3 million, something like that.
You could, theoretically, do it with open source intelligence calculations based on deviations from standard commuting into London, uptick in hotel, Airbnb, and all of that other information that's openly available. Assume with Airbnb data, you'd assume like 2.5 individuals per, because most people traveling in are going to group together. You could do individual ticket sales with a higher weight towards group ticket purchases on transit and trains to be more likely to be people commuting specifically for the purpose of the protest or the demonstration. You can do it.
All right, so
the math's not that hard.
Okay, so Grok here is responding, and again, it's Grok. I've seen it get things hilariously wrong. But it's saying police estimates from the Metropolitan Police using CCTV and helicopter footage put the crowd at the Unite the Kingdom rally in London today at around 110,000. Media reports align with this figure. Media reports not very useful. Claims of over 1 million or 3 million are not supported by available sources and seem unlikely given the venue's capacity. Now, Croc very much could be wrong about this. But that's what it's saying at that point. It says police have just announced. So I'm seeing lots of people saying the police have announced it, but no one confirming it.
Did you check the Mets Twitter?
Supporters have claimed, I certainly can do, claimed higher figures up to 3 million, but official estimates are lower. Claim of 3 million at protests in London is exaggerated. Met estimate 110,000. If Grok is continuously citing that, it's probably what they have asked to actually estimate. Grok says no police force estimated 3 million. Unfortunately, I am not seeing any corroboration of this, guys. 3 million according to official police reports, not according to the organisers. More than a third of the London population, or almost 5% of the entire country, waking up yet care, this one says. Are these still just some right-wing extremists? Perhaps arrest them all for free speech. So I'm not sure if that's true. Let's see. This is the original, or the one that I had, the post that initially showed it. Let's see if there are any responses here that imply it. Okay, that's a weird language. What was this about? 56,000. It's roughly what you estimated. I think this is a different picture, isn't it? Yeah, it is. And apply a turnover factor for people coming and going. This guy says police estimates are probably correct. Well, it could be, I suppose. Seems like it's more, though. This guy says, I quoted this from this before. I think whenever the situation in the UK comes up, I just found the whole posting today. It's a poem, okay. Let's see what else there is. If that number is correct, 5.2% of the population of England on the streets in London, which does seem quite high. More Charlie Kirk things. Is 8 million. 6% of it. Because they came from outside London, obviously. You know, if the number is accurate, that would be how. Not seeing any hint of a source, unfortunately. So, chat, if you have any source on this, I'd appreciate it. It's possible that the number is a lot lower than 3 million, but I would guess still higher than the mainstream press estimates. Hello, QWERTY. They had to get far right. They certainly did, didn't they? They regularly do. Had a source on that number. Revealed to me by the microplastics in my brain. Thank you, Ghost. That is very helpful. Okay, that's for Charlie. That's also for Charlie. That's also for Charlie. That's that picture again. See if I can go through some stuff and find more on this story. Most of what I have is about the Charlie situation. So I tell you what, let's go through just the popular posts and just see what we can glean. So yes, there are multiple races present, you might expect. Tommy's position has never been about race. And again, I think possibly he overcompensates on that grounds because the press hounds him on it so hard. But at the same time, why throw away supporters? So and there's that.
I bet if you looked, Uzulu, you'd probably find women and the gays as well also in attendance. It's like the mainstream media's narrative has nothing to do with the fact that people can be genuinely pissed off without being right-wing extremists.
Indeed. That is a nice picture. You know, I actually saw I live somewhere in the UK, which has been mostly untouched by all this. I have lived in different places around the country, but currently live somewhere mostly untouched by it. Very nice, very peaceful, quite affluent area. I saw a new Union Jack on a lamppost here for today. It wasn't there previous days. It was just there either today or yesterday. It was put up. So it's a pretty considerable movement, even in places it really doesn't need to represent itself. Need is the wrong word, but it doesn't prioritize. It doesn't need to prioritize representing itself. There are still people climbing lampposts in like 90% or 95% white areas, putting up the flag. Avalon says, have you seen the helicopter footage? It's definitely way over 1 million, which would make MSM estimates a low ball by an order of magnitude. Please do link them if you have them. I know that there was footage earlier. Pug says Carl got cut at the end. I did hear that Sargon was about to speak, and then they ran out of time. which is very unfortunate. As you guys know, Sargon and I have had our differences. He's still nondescriptly bad-mouthing me every time I mention on stream. I still don't know why. He still refuses to tell me. But regardless, he is on our side broadly, and so I do lament if he is screwed over. However, from what I understand, they had a limited time slot available, and unfortunately, it just overrun before he got a chance to speak. But it really, really sucks for him that he was just about to speak and he was like next up or nearly next up and got overridden. So that's unfortunate. I take no pleasure from it. I am not a spiteful man. So yeah, if you have any video of that, of him almost being there, then let me know, because I should at least show it. Mavis saw one somewhere en route to Alton a while back when I was in that area. That's in the same sort of broad region of the country that I'm in as well, not very far away. So yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. It's in places you wouldn't expect to find it. They gave his time to Elon, according to Sargon. I can kind of understand them doing that. Elon being there is interesting, because this, if you're trying to draw a distinction between Farage and Elon, this certainly does it. Certainly explains why Elon might not be willing to give Farage his investment. I believe Farage has spoken in support of this, but perhaps not as much support as we prefer. Wolf said Carl did speak at the last Unite the Kingdom rally before this one. Okay, fair enough. Elon of the card. I don't know, QWERTY. Which one's more autistic, Elon or Sargon? Who is this? If I see the day when the right wing will become the cool ones, giving the middle finger to the establishment, and the left wing will become the sniveling, self-righteous twats going around shaming everyone. Yep, that's what's happened. Police try to stop protesters going the route the police gave them to walk, but the British, heavily outnumbering the police, push through the line. And we have only this report to go on for that. It might well be that that they weren't supposed to be there, but they got through anyway. And like it looks like they just let them through at the side there. Those women. Yeah, they've breached through at that point, lads. Yeah, guys, there's loads of them. Like, I know that the way riots work is that, there's only so many people that can push on you at once without them crushing themselves. But at the same time, you don't want them to crush themselves. Like, half the riot police's or the police in this situation's job is to prevent a crowd crush, which is going to end up killing people potentially with trampling, which is kind of happening here, but at least it's small.
Again, Uzu, you're forgetting to account for the British's superior Q ability. So it's not so much a riot as an advancing phalanx.
Yeah, they're through, guys. Just try and help the officers get back up, but they're through.
Lads moment, or time for a little rule Britannia? Britannia rules the waves.
Thank you for the singing from the cheap seats. Yep, more from this guy again. Trafalgar Square, I think. Oh no, Westminster Bridge. The Kingdom March. I see flags when this guy climbed on top of the lion. That is a photograph which has gone through 0 editing, 0 filters, I can assure you. But no, that's a good photo. It's not as strong, but it's comparable to the Trump fight photo, isn't it? Is this AI? He says it's a photo. I'm not seeing any incoherence down there. It's probably a photo, but with some editing. Nice though. See what this is. People just going about their day in London, but wrapped in the flag. That's a good point, though. Even people that weren't at the main protest wrapped in flags were probably still wrapped in flags anyway. And half the people you see that aren't wrapped in flags support the broad idea, even if they weren't I support the idea, but I wasn't there. Former biker gang leader marching with British patriots in the United Kingdom rally has a message for us.
おい日本人、イギリスは立ち上がったぞ。 人事だと思って他人任せにしとったらあかんぞ。ほらこうやって何十万人もおって危機をみんなでただ必須
Key he mentioned.
叫ぶんじゃなくて笑顔もありながら元気にそして昔のイギリスを取り戻そうとしてる。
Okay, so this foreigner, this Japanese Anglo-boo, he's with us.
Well, now, Uzulu, to be fair to the Anglo-boo, if you want to take advice on how to be properly nationalistic, it is really hard to beat Japanese bikers. Like, they quite literally toe the line as close as possible to overtly fascist.
Now, and this guy does not look like your traditional biker. But remember, for Japan, for Japanese people, that's quite masculine, comparatively speaking.
And I think DV says it best. One of us, simple as, yes. Unlike the left, let us not fall into purity spirals and instead go gather as many allies as humanly possible.
So, Dr. Allegedly, for this portion, I am doing a focused recording. I'm doing a different thing now. So I need to keep it as short and sweet as possible, just so you know. So here was the moment of silence for the Charlie Kirk assassination, which we observed ourselves some silence when it actually happened. But they certainly managed to stay silent better than was it a US Congress did when half of them were saying, no, we're not doing that. We're not having a moment of silence. Even for someone who's killed it, who's high profile at all, it's worth doing that. But especially when it's someone killed under such strongly politically active circumstances. It was Katie Hopkins, of course, she was there. I guess we can hear what she has to say.
And they have tried to silence us. They took my friend Tommy and they put him in prison. They took my friend Charlie and they shot him. They tried to take my children and they deported my ass from Australia. And I say fuck the Australians for that.
Don't know what the story there is exactly, but Hopkins is a bit of a mixed bag. she's got the right ideas, but she's also a little bit crazy. Maori Hacker performed today in London. Sure, fine. This dance is very, very silly, but it is traditional for them. Thank you, Reveler. It's traditional for them in much the same way that the Beefeater big black hats are to us. Although I think one is a little bit more refined than the other. Still, having international support like this, and I was hearing people lamenting before the stream, why are there so many foreigners and foreign traditions involved here? What I will say in defense of this is that having a demonstration of international support means that it is more difficult to crush a movement at home and more easy for that movement to establish its own power if it has the power to grasp it. It will already have some sort of international relations. And if you've got a traditional honoring festival like this from a foreign nation happening with this group and then they take power, that's at least a way in the door diplomatically for the country who respects that kind of thing. So it does help, but I agree that there is a certain watering down with this kind of thing. But there's so many people there showing the British or English flag anyway that I think we could afford this. Elon spoke at the event. See this?
You know what's great? The BBC and the mass media cannot control this, can they?
They sure can't. Should mention, I understand that Tommy had lost his voice before this. He talks quite a lot, I think, so understandable. So that's why he sounds raspy.
I love it.
I mean, the BBC is complicit in the destruction of Britain.
And we pay for it, Elon. We pay for it.
Yes.
Strong words, but accurate. Hard to argue it.
Do you know they send
It's
them to
insane.
jail if we don't pay for it?
You're forced to pay for your own destruction. It's insane. It's unfair. It is wrong.
To be fair, whilst the TV license is ridiculous and the BBC is awful in most ways, every country has that same problem. The specific way in which we pay for it is perhaps more ridiculous or perhaps more quantity, but every country has taxes go towards their own destruction. So these days, I can't remember what I was going to say. Continue. Yes, a TV license is not mandatory, actually. It's only required if you watch the BBC, or if you the qualifications are a bit broader than that. But if you use terrestrial television, or if you use BBC's online services to watch BBC programs, then you have to pay a TV license. So it's not quite as bad as it being mandatory. I think if it was a mandatory part of everyone's taxes, people wouldn't notice it as much. But because you only have to pay it if you do certain things, they have to try to make you be honest about what you're doing, and they have to interrogate and investigate. If it was mandatory, people wouldn't notice it. People wouldn't care about it, most likely, because it would just be part of all those other taxes that we pay that probably we shouldn't. But if one of those other taxes, they had to inquisit you to determine if you should pay it, then people would notice that one. This one is obviously particularly egregious because it goes toward the BBC, which is not really acting in the British people's interest. But you don't have to pay it. If you don't use those services, you can tell them, I don't have to pay it, and they can't make you. No matter what scare tactics they use, no matter how much they shout at you, if you don't have to pay it according to the qualifications of the license, you don't pay it. But there are people that do have to, don't pay it. And that's why they get actually straight up Orwellian with some of the scaremongering tactics. They're trying to squash out the probably relatively few in the country who should be paying it, because that strategy is how the BBC keeps its funding. Now, the BBC aren't allowed to do advertising. They're not allowed to advertise products that you might want to buy, but they are allowed to advertise the doom that awaits you if you don't pay them when you have to. That's fine. That advertising is fine. But yeah, it's a bit of a silly model. I like the idea. I wish that would be viable. But the BBC probably does need some sort of reform. I'm not sure exactly what it would look like. Perhaps just destroy it. But it's a reflection of the state of the nation. Once the nation heals, the BBC may do as well. But media and academia are likely to become less leftist, slower than other areas. So even then, it may take time. The BBC is not an unsalvageable model, but in bad times, it looks worse, much worse than it probably would be doing other times, I think. Just to say, you pay for your own brainwashing by public broadcast. PBS is the same thing in the US. But I think you have to pay for that. I think your taxes go towards it without you having a choice. In the UK, we have a choice. We can just not watch the BBC and we don't have to pay for it. Or, well, any terrestrial television. But what proportion of people, let's say 35 or under to include myself, what proportion of people that age watch TV? Well, you include the working class, it's probably 50%, maybe less than that, but in the previous generations, that would have been 80, 90%. So it was basically everyone, or more than that probably. Basically everyone paid it. But now not everyone does. Now there's many alternatives, including the big screen they had up here. Do you know this? This is a niche reference, but this reminds me of the screen shown at the end of Beyond Good and Evil, which is also a story about the people overcoming a authoritarian dictatorship. And in that case, a foreign-made one with the cooperation of local governments. So that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Play Beyond Good and Evil. It's a brilliant game.
Elon, a lot of ordinary people that are here today, they feel ignored, they feel censored, or they're...
Oh, that was the end of the clip. Garmin says, I don't know if it's still the same, but I remember that in the 90s and noughties, PBS still had to do annual donathons to stay on the air. Maybe it's a bit of both. I think the government in the US does partly pay for it. I don't know what the difference is, like how much TV license cost compares to how much of your taxes go towards it. But same thing with Americans. You, I believe, do pay some amount of your taxes towards that. But even if it's not for propaganda, even if it's not the media, taxes you pay, I mean, way more than here for this one, go directly to Israel. Would you rather your taxes went towards local propaganda or remote intelligence agencies that put propaganda all over the entire world? At least allegedly. Tommy Robinson himself says, millions have turned up for our Unite the Kingdom event. This is the biggest protest in British history. It probably is, actually. It probably is. Anyone think of any that might compare? You've got the Charlie Kirk face, you've got the flags, lots of flags. Charlie Kirk's death has been such a rallying cry for the right. We have the right, tribally speaking at least, has such a huge amount of political capital after that happened. Doing stuff like this is spending it wisely. Violence would be spending it possibly unwisely. If anyone is thinking about doing violence in response to the Charlie Kirk thing, I'm not necessarily saying don't. Or I wouldn't personally recommend it, but it's a matter of strategy. It's not even a moral matter. Of course, that comes into it, and you should be careful of that, but it's a matter of strategy. On a big scale, it's a matter of strategy. Win or follow, use peace. Win completely or use peace. Otherwise, you're just going to lose people. If you go to violence, you drop a portion of your support base straight away. Be ready for that. Because if you're going to do that, you have to win. It can't be part of a gradual process unless that gradual process is a war, which you might have to fight.
To sort of back endorse what you're saying, Luke, it's very true, especially because a lot of people are seeing the lack of violence on the side of the right and how some people just continue to harp on, oh, but Kirk was all these ists and isms and they keep saying this terrible shit. And the normies and people who aligned with the left are like, Jesus Christ, you all are monsters and are leaving them behind. This is absolutely the wrong time for violence. They are
strategically it is.
Support.
Yeah.
They are hemorrhaging support and sending people to us. Now, when I say it's the wrong time for violence, I'm not saying don't protect and defend yourself. I'm just saying if you have to use violence, be in a self-similar situation to where it's violence against a trans shooter in a Christian church. No one with a soul is like, this was terrible. Or someone committing political violence. Again, no one with a soul is like, you can't harm this person.
Mm. Here's another shot of the bridge.
Yeah, sorry. I had
very
one
nice.
last point.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, at this point, based on the numbers, transphobia is no longer a thing because a phobia is an irrational fear of something.
Mm.
If it is based on fact and by the numbers, a trans individual is significantly more likely to try to blow my brains out than the local thug. I'm not transphobic. I am aware of patterns and trends and can recognize.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the Guardian article. Oh, the Guardian's begging for money. Here's what you should do, the Guardian. Die. The Guardian says, aerial footage shows scale of Unite the Kingdom rally video. Yes, I will utilize the Guardian, despite saying I wanted to die. Because if they die, something viable, and perhaps not quite so biased, will replace them. Aerial footage shows a crowd of tens of thousands, they say. So this is provided by, linked by Revlon in chat as just, here's some footage. I know that there was plenty more footage, and I'll be looking through the Twitter thread some more as well. Here's some video. Aerial footage. I mean, it probably is the biggest protest in British history. It might be up there in comparison to world protests, actually, because it doesn't matter how many people you have in your country, there's still a limit to how many you can get in one place. Yeah, it's a lot of people. Just keep going. It just keeps scrolling like this. The streets are just full of people. This is why, I think this is why people were saying, it just keeps going. This is why people were saying it was 1 million. Like what we said earlier about the bridge, and me saying it looks like at least 100,000. I may have been off. Given Solnar's calculations, it would look like 60,000. Fair. That's just a small portion of the entire protest. This aerial footage is a skull past of what looks like at least 10 times that many people in total. So the estimate of over 1 million sounds quite sensible. 3 million may be too high, and it looks like there was no corroboration for that, but over 1 million, probably true. Let's see some more. That is it for that article, actually. So yeah, this is only a small portion of the entire protest. I'm not sure if this is nearer the back or nearer the front at that point, but I think they crossed over the bridge. So let's keep looking through the footage that we can find here. More Tommy.
We need to thank today. This would not have happened without the next gentleman who I want to bring out here to speak to you for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Let me introduce you to
Elon is so fucking autistic. He's right. He's so fucking. He comes on wearing what would Orwell think on a t-shirt. I kind of appreciate how much of a child he is, and I don't say that in terms of the endearing childlike innocence, but a good soul. No, he's a fucking idiot. I'm sorry to say, I've seen so much evidence. He's clearly a genius business-wise. He clearly knows what he's doing, but a lot of the things I've seen him do demonstrate he's actually quite a low-functioning autist. And turning up like this with a Zoom call with a blurred background with your t-shirt with what would Orwell think. So undignified, even by reasonable dignity standards, and yet richest man in the world, and yet it's fine. He's supporting the right things. I really can't complain.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
There's actually some US flags in the background there. There's one you can see on the left.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Tommy, on putting together an amazing...
Oh, and there's the 3 lions as well. That's not a bad flag to use, actually, because that's a very old symbol of Britain. That one with the sort of burgundy and gold, I'm not sure where that would come from, but the 3 lions with red and white, I think, is mostly associated with football, and that's probably much more specifically associated with football than the England flag. But the burgundy and red, burgundy and gold, that's an interesting combination. That might be a more sort of royal, national, or British or English state symbol. Maybe a lot older than that, actually. I don't know. But if someone could look it up, I'd appreciate it. But that's a good one to choose, because the 3 lions is a very old symbol of England.
Amazing event, and really rallying the people of Britain.
Elon, none of this could have happened without you giving the British public access to the truth and giving us free speech and fighting for our free speech.
Yeah, X has been significantly better since Elon bought it, but it does still censor. It is not nearly as censorious, but way more than I think most people realize. A lot of elements of the identitarian right are frequently censored. It censors on behalf of Israel far more than it ever did before. I even heard, and I'm not sure it's true, but I suspect it is, Gab developed an AI, which I've been looking into. They published that AI with a bot on Twitter for a while, a few months ago, in July, I think. It was up for a while, very popular because their bot's actually quite good. And Elon took it down, said that it was competing with them and that they couldn't support it because it was competing with Grok. One, that's not free speech. That's not actually a meritorious process or a market, which that was obviously wrong in doing that. And 2, as Torba, who I don't agree with on everything by any means, but he's right on this, said, they're a small team of like a handful of people compared to Elon Musk's $200 billion company. How are they competitors? Well, apparently they are. So yeah, that's an interesting one. And I'm not sure how true that story is because there's no write-up on it, but there wouldn't be because the press wouldn't write anything about it. And because even X, where I go to find an unbiased report on things, wouldn't write anything about it because they'd probably take it out. But Torba claims that's what happened. So yeah, be wary of Elon. I said, didn't I? Before he acquired it, I said it will be better, but the censorship will be less professional, not good, obviously, but professional, and more personal. Elon censors things he doesn't like. That's dangerous. But it is better than it being the oligarchy's choice what gets censored. It is better, but it's not good. We need to do better, but it's a good start.
So on behalf of Great Britain and the British public, we're incredibly grateful, Elon.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome, and you may notice this T-shirt that I'm wearing is great British author George Orwell. What would Orwell think? I think that's generally a good way to look at these things. He would want freedom.
And by the way, yeah, people will lament bringing up 1984 because it's passé. No, keep bringing it up. Make people read that book. I'm not often one for recommending books, but that's a pretty fucking obvious one. I did actually read that one. Yes. What would Orwell think? And Orwell himself was a socialist a large part of his life, and he was a fascist as well. But he got better, and he wrote some blindingly good commentary on dystopia. which really everyone should read. 1984 at Animal Farm really should be, every child should read them.
Speech, he'd want the people to know what's real. He'd want the people to fight against government oppression and fight for the truth and fight for the future of Britain.
I also appreciate how Elon has not realized how low functioning he is socially, and he believes that people want him there for more than just his money. It's kind of sad, actually, because even if you're a millionaire, you can't know who likes you because they might just be toadies for cash. They might just be crowding around you for your influence and your money. But if you're the richest man in the world and you're severely autistic, I don't know if anyone around Elon actually likes him. That's not even a commentary on him being a bad person. But the force of his wealth and of his potential for manipulation is so high that I don't know if you could trust. I don't know if he could trust anyone.
Elon, we are incredibly grateful for your time. We know what a busy man you are. Why is it important for you to be here today speaking at this United Kingdom event?
Well, I'm of primarily British heritage, British ancestry. I want Britain to be greater than it ever has been. I want Britain to...
You're right. We should rule the world. Maybe we can introduce him to some friends in Cabal. I'd volunteer. Yeah, see, that's what I mean, Ghost. If he wasn't the world's richest man, you probably wouldn't.
To remain...
He should join Cabal, though.
I think there's something beautiful about being British. And what I see...
Yes, but would you say that about almost anyone? I'm not trying to take it away from him too much, but he's rambling. He's always rambling. He never speaks sense. He's always rambling. He should plan these things. I'm sure he'd be quite good if he just read something out with a bit of interjection of his thoughts every now and again. Probably would do quite well, actually.
Happening is a destruction of Britain.
I'm not listening to 20 minutes of this, but he was there. He spoke. Good. And there is an unease there because the Unite the Kingdom rally isn't about Reform UK, and Reform UK is not strongly involved with the Unite the Kingdom rally. So there is a bit of a separation there, and Elon supports this rally but doesn't support Reform UK currently. But Reform UK are 10 points ahead in the polls. So it's the same sort of thrust, but a different movement. It's like if Marga was split in two, where both halves liked each other. They didn't like each other. They supported the same things and cooperated, but were not affiliated and didn't like each other very much. It's not a great situation, really, but it's a lot better than it could be. The issues with Nigel are apparent, but I believe that everyone there would have to wrestle with the fact that no one can get position in politics as well as he can. And perhaps the correct strategy is to say, we support the movement. We recognize that what Nigel is doing, whilst more moderate than we'd like, is perhaps the best way to get votes, sheerly pragmatically speaking. So let's go with it for now, but we'll be ready. This is the threat to Nigel. You do what we fucking say, do what we want, what you claim to want, or these guys. Nondescript beyond that, but these guys, the next party will be defined by these guys, and that will be fine by me. Hell, I probably prefer it right now. But they don't have quite the political force to become the leading party. So that's currently the situation we're in, and likely will be by the next election, but maybe it'll change. Yeah, here he is on top of the lion, both crosses. That is a good clip though. More footage here, some fighting. Now, I will say, there is always fighting wherever Tommy Robinson goes. Is that because Robinson's mates are all thugs who like a fight? Well, I'm sure some of them like a fight, but they have to be because, have you noticed something in this picture, chat? Have you noticed someone in this picture? Who's that in all black then? Who's that there in all black? Is that one of Tommy's lads? No, it's not. That's Antifa. Yes, they're everywhere. They regularly, and that's an Antifa flag there as well. They regularly, every time you see Tommy get into the fight, I think every time, you see Tommy or his lads in fights, it's Antifa or someone similar on the left who started it. Tommy's lads are pretty good at finishing it, from what I've seen. But they never start it, as far as I've seen. And that's what's happened here. The reason there is a fight, and the press will say, fights broke out at the Unite the Kingdom rally recently. Under far-right activist Tommy Robinson. Antifa started it. There was no violence, except where Antifa started it. And where that happened, it was isolated and ended quickly. But the press won't say that. So you get, footage like this they wouldn't even show, because you can see who's fucking doing it. But they'll show footage that doesn't show that perspective, so almost all the footage you've seen of Tommy and his lads being violent will be that. And the police here are backs towards Antifa, which is fucking questionable. However, their fronts are towards the bigger crowd. So, I don't know, maybe there's some justification there. But it's possible that the police are, beyond possible that they're biased here. Antifa are of the same persuasion as the police, at least in London. There's the London police. A lot of them are not, in fact, actually British by most, at least historical definitions. So perhaps they are more allied with Antifa, but perhaps there is more going on here than that. But the police's job primarily is to keep the peace. They're allowing the protests to happen, obviously, but they're trying to keep the peace. Now, backs to Antifa is, as I said, fucking questionable. But at least they're not beating the Tommy supporters who aren't trying to fight. Well, that's something.
Fuck off to Gaza! Fuck off to Gaza!
You won't be there long. Yeah, so that's the kind of thing you'll see around Tommy Robinson. Much like Charlie Kirk. Obviously less fatal than Charlie Kirk, but they fight Tommy because they don't want to hear him speak. That's a good picture. It looks like it might be AI, though. Questionable. I would have to say it's probably AI, but it might just be low res. Even if it is AI, it is a good picture. It's pretty good. And then, what's the next one here? Je suis Charlie Kirk. Someone asked earlier, I believe it was Ez, asked earlier, when was the last time you heard about Charlie Hebdo? Their heads just did that. But no, the I am thing is apparently still in the zeitgeist. Yeah, if you're going to shoot someone because they're Charlie Kirk, then fuck it. Millions of us will become Charlie Kirk. You can't shoot us all. Warning, alert, brown woman patriot detected. Well, fine, good for her. Is that Scrump in the background? I'd noticed that extremely Angloid head shape anywhere. That extremely, not even Angloid, like ancient Britain head shape anywhere.
Fuck's sake, Lawrence, give us the light.
Absolutely glorious. How many have you got?
Good. Tuka's linked. Well, this is on the Kirk story, so we will come back to that. Honor of a lifetime to speak at the UTK rally. 3 million patriots make Europe Europe again, she says. See what she's saying.
Erica Kirk, this is for you. We love you. We stand with you. We will always have your back.
Chat, I was debating saying woman, moving on, just mostly to be funny, but press 1 if woman and foreign accent means move on. I think I'm going to move on. But it's good to see that there are a lot of people supporting it anyway. More of those two. More footage here.
This isn't about Israel. This isn't about Palestine.
Yeah, we'd seen this already, this footage earlier. Okay, here's a good flyby. It's quite a long one too. Jesus, let's go from the start. This looks like the head of the rally because you can see the luminous vests there. London's march, and today we will see England's version of this amazing display of patriotism. Those are Polish flags. Are they actually? I don't know. It might be. It might be Poland. Why is it on this search then? It's hard to tell from this range. The Polish national. Fair enough. Okay. I was wondering why I didn't recognize the song. Anyway, next up. What is this guy wearing?
Don't worry. Don't worry. We know it only normally lasts for about a minute, 30 seconds or so.
So Advance UK, I have seen, I see this at the top here. It seems to be the party that's most clearly aligned with the protest. I don't know much about them, but given their affiliation with this protest, best of luck to them. I would only hope that they don't split the vote. That would be catastrophic, really, if they were to split the vote. But if they were to present a formidable platform and get someone people can trust, then replaced Farage, probably fine by me. Yeah, he kind of looks like, I mean, this is exactly what Cat from Red Dwarf would wear if he was here, and looks very similar. I mean, like, at the very least, you can say that he's putting on the right kind of show, whether he believes in it or not. Right, let's see some more. There's someone from Poland saying Poland's with you. I think that was from London. There's the colours. You got the roundabout there. Got flags everywhere. Good stuff. More Elon and there's some good footage. That's a high shot as well. This is going to show most of the rally, I think. Yes, Canon Fraser, that's correct. When you tell early Google AI to make a picture of an Englishman, you get this. I remember that. Yes. If you said Englishman eating watermelon in chains, it would draw you a black man eating watermelon. If you said a black man eating watermelon in chains, it would say that's racist. You can't do that. But yeah, you could trick it. I don't know if they still do that anymore. Maybe they're not as bad for that. But yeah, that kind of shit has to end as well. And the more AI is democratized, the more that will end as well. Which is partly what I'm trying to do here. Side project, building a mascot for Cabal who speaks freely. That's a lot of people, though. It's a lot of people. It just keeps going. Goes all the way back to this square that I think we saw earlier. And probably further as well, except the clip's about to end, but I think it goes even further than this. It's a lot of people. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Apologies, Joe. This is a shot of, yeah, I think from the other direction. Huge protest. And again, as I said, the color of the protest as well is very distinct. It's kind of a shame that Farage didn't keep the purple of UKIP, actually. I'm guessing that he couldn't because it was already taken when he left UKIP, but purple is the combination of the blue and red from our flag. And blue and red are already taken, so only one way to be more patriotic by argument. There was this girl who, it says, kicked out of school for wearing Union Jack dress. Gets to say her speech at the United Kingdom Day. Okay, so if it was Free Dress Day and she got kicked out of school for wearing Union Jack dress, then yeah, that's obviously an injustice. But if she just came in instead of wearing her school uniform in this, it's a bit more questionable. Palestine flag was ripped to shreds by the Maori warriors. Now, that said, now do it to the Israel flag. Oh, what's that? Tommy won't let us? Yeah. There's your problem again, isn't it? Whatever. Better than nothing. All right. More of this. Huge number of people. I guess it's what's 3 million, but again, I couldn't find any corroboration for the 3 million. I'm not sure what the music is going to be, but I probably can't broadcast it. The clip show of Britain things. It's fine. Who is this guy? While his bodyguard Hinamaru Nikki is in the UK marching with thousands of British patriots in the United Kingdom rally, Kawai Yasuke is at home leading his own anti-immigration protest against the planned importation of Egyptians in Tokyo. Okay, based. I guess this is in Tokyo. Now again, for Japs, that's a very deep and refined masculine voice. Anyway, what's this? Clear spark exterior cleaning, multiple requests to clean roofs in the shape of the St. George's Cross. That's fantastic. Look at this. Fantastic. I like that. All right, I think that's a good place to end, chat. I think that's all the coverage of that I currently have. If anyone has anything else, let me know. But I think that great rally, lots of people, all in the same place. I think that covers it. And I think discussing Scrump's comment at the beginning is a good way of doing that as well. Those of you watching on YouTube, hop over to Rumble or to Discord. Discord's preferable because you get much more interactive chat there. Or stay tuned on YouTube because I will next be putting on a similar streamlet about Charlie Kirk's Killer, which is the other major topic for today. There may also be more about this topic later on the stream, but this is the end of the specifically about this stream. For those who don't know, I'm doing streamlets on this channel occasionally. I will organize this better in future, but shorter segments focused on one topic to make them more consumable for a wider audience who may be turned off by multiple topics in a 3 or 4 hour long stream, but may be more interested in a single topic in a less than 1 hour stream. Some more experimentation to be done on this idea, but I think it's fine for now. This has gone a little over 1 hour, but I think it was worth it for the few extra things. Yes, as Pug says, join Cabal at cuck.shotfatataku.com or join Cabal at cabal.racism.africa. You can also use cabal.oozlu.net if you're a traditionalist. Yes, exactly. Yes, thank you, Pug. So, thank you, chat, for joining. Join either Discord or Rumble to see the rest of it, or stay tuned on YouTube for the next streamlet. I'll see you soon. But raise the colors.